Okay, here we are again with some more select and mask stuff. I have open select and mask demo.psd, and you can download that from the same page you got this movie from. So I'd like to talk about hair and how it's every Photoshop person's worst nightmare to outline. Mostly because when it gets fine, let me zoom in here. When it gets smaller, oh, that's scary. Big clumps of hair are almost a solid object, and that's easy to outline. But when it becomes fine like this, we're seeing a lot of the background color through it. So to take this and try to put it on another background color would bring a little bit of this background color with it. And I'll show you what that looks like and how to fix it. So we're going to take this and not only outline it, but we're going to try to put it on a dark background. And then we're going to put it on this crazy background and see what it looks like. All right, so select and mask, we're going to get right into it. I have this layer selected, and then I'm going to go under filter, or I'm sorry, select, and select and mask. All right, so it brings me right into the onion skin, and right now I have the transparency set to 0. As I move the transparency to a higher percentage, what it's doing, instead of making the checkerboards like it did with the duck, it's showing me through to the background. Okay, it's transparent to the black background that we have. So I can come over here and start creating my mask with my quick selection tool, and but what I'm going to do instead, undo, Command Z, Command Z, I'm just going to push the button up here that says select subject. Sometimes it works better than this tool, sometimes not, so we'll try it. What the heck, it's free. Oh, it did a great job. Yeah, I know, because I practiced. All right, so what I'm telling you about the black background, look at this. See all that color? That's coming, all that bright color is coming from the background. The hair is a little transparent and you see all that white halo. So I'm going to show you how to fix that stuff. First, though, I'm going to turn this direction a little bit, and we're going to take a look at what it outlined and didn't outline. If I zoom into the color of his shirt, I can see, let me turn that down so we can see it. I can see that there's so little contrast right here. It really didn't know where to draw that line. So I'm going to have to draw that line because there's no auto select for something with that low of contrast. So if I go over to my toolbox and down under the Refine Edge tool that we used last time, there's a Paintbrush tool. So if I click on Paintbrush, it's set for white as the default. So wherever I paint it right now, it's going to paint in white. And I can control, I can control the hardness of the brush, so I'm going to go to about 50% for the shirt edge here, and the size of the brush, a little bit smaller here. If I choose this one, I'm painting open mask to reveal in white, and this one paints it in black to cover it up. So I think the neck comes somewhere up here. It only goes at 100% though. There's no kind of percentage that you can spray out. Anyway, I can just paint right in here in selected mask, and I think I have the same problem on the other side. Yeah, so if I look at that, I can't even tell. So sometimes, you know, when you're in Photoshop, you just kind of get to make stuff up. And I say the shirt goes like this. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Okay, so that's taken care of. I'm going to zoom back out here. I'm going to turn this back up. I'm still working in onion skin. I can switch right over to on layers here, and on layers is going to show me what this looks like with a transparent background. So right now our mask looks like this. I'm going to show you black and white, and that just shows you the mask edge. That select subject did a really nice job right out of the basket there, so I'm very happy with that. Okay, anyway, here we go. I'm going to switch back to on layers and show you what we can do to make this hair better. So right now, I've got some kind of that background in here. I'm just zooming in. I have some of that background right here that I need to get rid of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Refine Edge Remember, it's like the radius over here, but it happens on the end of a brush, which lets me control it a lot easier. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to make my brush. The trick with this is small spaces, and only brush over the areas that are not solid. If I don't want to get in here and start brushing in here, because then we'll start making holes in here where I don't want it. Okay, so I'm going to even make the hardness of the edge a little bit harder. And brush a little bit smaller, and then watch what happens when I come over this area. Nice, right? A little bit in here, and I do little pieces at a time, not too much. Make my brush match the area that I really want it to look at. I think I went too far, so I'm going to Command Z, and then just come out here. Cover that area, a little bit at a time. Okay, that's bad. So I got too close to the edge. I'm going to try that again. That's good. And smaller brush here as I come closer to his face. Maybe I'll try it this direction. All right, that'll work for me. All right, and then along the edge here, I'm going to give it one little fix up. See how that works. And maybe just right there. All right, over here on this side. So I love how I can come into these areas that have this white in the background and just brush a little brush over it, and it fixes it up. I don't want to come into the t-shirt because it'll do that. Not desirable. But I do want it to get all of this area out here. Now, if you're just making a minor change to the background color, if I'm taking this guy out of a light background situation and putting him into another light background situation, I don't have to be this fussy or particular about the edge of my mask because it's not going to show up. That's what's nice about putting it on layers view, because if I've already moved him onto the background he's going into, I can really see the results and fine tune it inside of selected mask before I say that's enough. Okay. So now I have this halo stuff, and I told you I'd tell you how to deal with that. And there's a couple of ways. It looks like I got some white stuff out here, so I'm going to get my brush, and I'm going to paint with black. And I'm going to make my brush bigger. I'm right bracketing to make my brush bigger, just like I can in Photoshop. I'm just going to paint that out of there. Got a big soft brush. Sometimes that Refine Edge brush tool does a little bit more than you want it to. Okay, so there's that. Oh, there's some stuff right here. Okay, now here's what I want to do. I can try to, if I move down here, I can try to shift the edge in. If I shift the edge in, it reduces it to a certain degree. But if I keep going, it really starts getting rid of hairs, fine hairs that I don't want to get rid of. So I'm going to use that as a partial. I'm going to take it about halfway. So, and remember, if I go the other direction, it lets me shift the edge out, which is, hey. Why didn't you guys tell me that was up there? Okay, so I'm going to shift it this way, shift it in a little bit, and then to really fine tune it, here's what I'm going to do. Down here at the bottom, and this might be closed, where it says Output Settings, I'm going to click Decontaminate Colors and watch what happens to the edge. Like magic, isn't it? Yes, I think it is. So I'm going to zoom in. I'll explain how this magic works in a second, but here I may not want to set it for 100. I might want a little bit of that to come back, so I'm going to dial this back so that it looks as natural as it can look. All right, and I'm going about 55 right there. So let me turn that off again so you can see the results. So there's off, decontaminate. You can see some of that light, extra light stuff coming through there. In fact, I may not shift the edge that far. There we go. And I'll turn Decontaminate on. It's kind of a balancing act between the two. Sometimes I don't use this at all. But I'm thinking that looks pretty good, pretty good. So I'm going to go to the bottom. Remember, my ways to output. And now it's automatically put me into a new layer with layer mask. And this is important, and Photoshop does it for you automatically because this is actually destructive editing. So I'm going to say OK to this, and then it will bring us back out into the Photoshop interface any time now. There we go. And it's left this one alone, and it's added a new mask with this. And that is not the same as what we started. So that Decontaminate Colors, I'm going to shift and click on the mask to turn it off. And you can see it's taken the color that's nearest the hair, or nearest the mask, and taken read the color here, and then pushed it out away to fill in some of that background color so that it looks more natural on the background than it did when it was just here. So that's the destructive editing, and that's why it made a copy of it. So this, if I need to go back and do it again, I have the original copy that I haven't destroyed. All right, so let's take a look at what this looks like on our black background. Zoom out a little bit. So I'll turn that off, and there's our black background. Not too bad. If I double click on this color fill layer, it shouldn't look too terrible on a lot of color backgrounds, light or dark. It's not too bad, but it's easier if you're working on the kind of the background that it's really going to go into, rather than just guess and then bring it in and find a halo, or found that you worked too many hours on it. Okay, and I'll turn this off to see what it looks like kind of on this background. That's not too bad, not too bad. All right, so that's it. Now it's your turn. Try this and see how it works out for you. Bye.